Long ago, when the mountains of Wales stood tall, draped in mist, and the rivers sang ancient songs, there was a land rich with stories. These weren't just any stories, they were the heartbeat of the people, passed from one generation to the next like precious jewels. The tales whispered around flickering fires, shared in the glow of hearths, held the soul of a nation. They were tales of courage, love, magic, and loss, woven into the very fabric of Welsh life. The Mabinogion, a collection of these stories, is not just a book, it's a window into a world where reality and myth blend seamlessly. The tales carry the weight of centuries, yet they feel as alive today as they did when they were first told. But to understand these stories, we must feel the pulse of the world they came from. Wales, with its rugged landscape of rolling hills and dark forests, has always been a land of mystery. In ancient times, the people of Wales lived in close harmony with the land. They believed that the rocks, rivers, and trees had spirits, and these spirits spoke through the tales they told. These weren't just tales of entertainment, they were lessons, warnings, and a means to keep history alive. The Mabinogion stories were born in a time when few could read or write. Words were sacred, and the bards who sang these stories were revered. They were the keepers of memory, the voices of the past. In their hands, words had the power to move hearts, to inspire warriors, to bring tears to the eyes of kings. Every story they told was more than just a tale, it was a lifeline to the ancestors, a thread connecting the present to the distant past. Picture a cold winter night in a medieval Welsh village. The wind howls outside, but inside, the warmth of a fire draws everyone close. The bard, with his voice steady and strong, begins to speak. The room falls silent, and in that moment, time itself seems to pause. The bard's words paint pictures in the minds of his listeners, of noble princes, enchanted lands, and fierce battles. The children sit wide-eyed, the elders nod in recognition, and for a while, everyone is transported to another world. These stories were not written down for many years. They lived in the breath of the storytellers, shaped by the tongues of those who spoke them. But as time passed, the need to preserve these stories became urgent. The world was changing, and with it, the old ways were fading. So, the stories that had been carried in the hearts of the people for generations were finally committed to parchment. The Mabinogion is the result of that effort. It is a collection of stories that captures the essence of medieval Welsh society, its values, its beliefs, and its fears. In these tales, we see the importance of honor, the bonds of kinship, and the ever-present influence of the supernatural. The heroes and heroines of these stories are not just characters, they are reflections of the people who told their stories. In medieval Wales, life was hard. The land was beautiful but unforgiving, and survival depended on strength, both of body and of spirit. The Mabinogion reflects this reality. The stories are filled with trials and challenges that test the characters to their limits. But they also offer hope, showing that even in the darkest times, there is light. The tales of the Mabinogion were a source of comfort in a harsh world. They offered a way to make sense of the struggles of life, to see them as part of a larger, more meaningful story. The characters in these tales faced incredible odds, but they never gave up. Their stories gave strength to those who heard them, reminding them that they too could overcome the challenges they faced. In the world of the Mabinogion, the line between the natural and the supernatural is thin. Magic is not something distant or fantastical, it is woven into the very fabric of life. The people who told these stories believed that the world was full of wonders, that just beyond what the eye could see, there were forces at work that could change the course of events in an instant. This belief in magic was not just about spells and enchantments, it was about a deeper understanding of the world, a recognition that there is more to life than what meets the eye. The Mabinogion also reflects the deep connection the Welsh people had with their land. The landscapes described in these tales are not just settings, they are characters in their own right. The mountains, forests, and rivers of Wales are alive with spirit and power. They shape the stories just as much as the people in them. To the people of medieval Wales, the land was sacred, and its stories were a way of honoring that sacredness. The Mabinogion stories have a timeless quality. They speak to universal themes: love, loss, betrayal, redemption, that resonate as deeply today as they did centuries ago. But they are also deeply rooted in the specifics of Welsh culture and history. They reflect a world that was changing as Wales faced outside influences and internal strife. Yet through it all, the stories of the Mabinogion remained a constant, a source of identity and pride. The significance of the Mabinogion in medieval Welsh society cannot be overstated. These stories were a means of preserving history, but they were also a way of shaping the future. They taught lessons, reinforced values, and provided a sense of continuity in a world that was often uncertain. They were, in many ways, the heartbeat of a people, and their echoes can still be felt today. In the heart of ancient Wales, where the land meets the sky in rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a prince named Pwyll. His kingdom, Dyfed, was a place of breathtaking beauty, with lush valleys and rivers that sparkled like diamonds under the sun. But it was also a land where the veil between the world of men and the world of the otherworld was thin, a place where the unexpected could happen at any moment. Pwyll was a noble and respected ruler, but like all leaders, he was not without his flaws. One day, while hunting in the deep woods of his kingdom, Pwyll found himself separated from his men. Alone in the quiet of the forest, he felt a strange pull, as if the very earth beneath him was guiding him somewhere unknown. And then he saw it, a great stag, white as snow, standing still as a statue. Its eyes locked with Pwyll's, and without thinking, he gave chase. But this was no ordinary stag. As Pwyll pursued it, the forest around him seemed to shift and change. Trees grew taller, shadows lengthened, and soon, Pwyll found himself in a place he did not recognize. The stag disappeared as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving Pwyll in a clearing bathed in an eerie, golden light. It was then that he realized he was not alone. Standing before him was a man of striking appearance, dressed in the finest garments, with eyes that seemed to hold the secrets of the ages. This was Arawn, the Lord of Owein, the ruler of the otherworld, a land of magic and mystery, where the dead walk among the living, and time flows in strange ways. Arawn spoke, his voice calm but carrying the weight of power. He told Pwyll that he had wronged him by hunting the stag, which belonged to Owein. But rather than punish Pwyll, Arawn offered him a chance to redeem himself. There was a great enemy of Arawn's, a fearsome lord who had brought much suffering to Owein. Arawn proposed that Pwyll take his place and fight this enemy on his behalf. For a year and a day, Pwyll would live as Arawn, wearing his face and ruling his land, while Arawn would take Pwyll's place in Dyfed. It was an offer that could not be refused, for it was bound by honor, a force stronger than any spell. Pwyll agreed, and with that, their fates were sealed. Arawn handed Pwyll his own likeness, and in an instant, Pwyll became the Lord of Owein. The year that followed was unlike any other in Pwyll's life. In the strange and wondrous land of Owein, he ruled with fairness and strength, his heart always aware of the trust Arawn had placed in him. But the greatest challenge lay ahead, for the time would soon come to face Arawn's enemy in battle. The day of the duel arrived, and Pwyll stood ready, his heart steady despite the knowledge that this fight would determine not only his fate but the fate of two worlds. The enemy was a giant of a man, fierce and cruel, whose very presence seemed to darken the sky. But Pwyll, with Arawn's form and strength, met him blow for blow. It was a battle that shook the very earth, each strike ringing out like thunder. Pwyll's skill and courage won the day, and with the enemy defeated, peace returned to Owein. But Pwyll did not strike the final blow to end his enemy's life. He spared him, an act of mercy that would not be forgotten. For in that moment, Pwyll proved not only his strength but his wisdom and compassion, qualities that would define his reign in the years to come. When the year and a day had passed, Pwyll and Arawn met again. The time had come to return to their rightful places. Arawn, grateful for Pwyll's service and honor, revealed that during the year he had ruled Dyfed in Pwyll's stead, he had not laid a hand on Pwyll's wife or taken any liberties. Pwyll, too, had remained true, not revealing his true identity or betraying Arawn's trust. In this, they both proved their integrity, and a deep bond of friendship was forged between them, a bond that would bring great benefits to both their realms. When Pwyll returned to Dyfed, his people welcomed him with open arms, unaware of the great challenges their prince had faced. But Pwyll had changed. He was no longer just a prince of Dyfed, he was a man who had walked in another's shoes, who had seen the world through different eyes. His experience in and had given him a new perspective, a deeper understanding of the balance between this world and the next, and the responsibilities that come with power. Pwyll's reign in Dyfed was marked by wisdom and justice. His people prospered, and his name became known far beyond the borders of his kingdom. But the tales of his encounter with Arawn and the challenges he overcame became legend, passed down through the generations as a reminder of the bond between the worlds, the importance of honor, and the power of compassion. Pwyll's story is not just about a prince who rose to power, it is about a man who learned that true strength lies not in conquest, but in understanding, not in domination, but in respect for the world and its mysteries. It is a story that touches the heart because it speaks to the very core of what it means to be human, to face challenges with courage, to act with honor, and to show kindness even in the face of adversity. On the shores of Wales, where the sea meets the land with a gentle kiss, there was a princess named Branwen, daughter of Llyr. Her beauty was unmatched, her grace like the soft waves that caress the sand. But behind her gentle eyes was a heart full of strength, a soul that would soon be tested in ways she could never have imagined. Branwen's life was forever changed when a ship arrived from across the sea, bearing a king from the distant land of Ireland. Mathonwy, king of Ireland, had come seeking an alliance with the Welsh through marriage, and he had set his eyes on Branwen. The match was seen as a union that would bring peace and prosperity to both lands, a bond between two powerful nations. Branwen, with a heart full of hope, agreed to the marriage, believing that this union would bring joy to her people. But fate is often cruel, and the seeds of tragedy were already sown. Branwen's brother, Mabinogion, was enraged by the marriage. Feeling slighted and dishonored, he took a brutal action that would cast a dark shadow over the union. In a fit of rage, he mutilated the horses that had been gifted to Mathonwy as part of the marriage agreement. The act was not just one of violence, it was a deep insult to the King of Ireland, one that could not be easily forgiven. Mathonwy, though furious, chose to accept an offer of compensation rather than let this insult lead to war. Branwen, ever the peacemaker, tried to mend the rift, hoping that her marriage could still bring the harmony it was meant to. But the damage had been done. Though outwardly the marriage continued, beneath the surface, resentment festered, and the bond between the two nations grew more fragile with each passing day. In Ireland, Branwen became queen, but the land that was meant to be her new home turned cold and unforgiving. She bore Mathonwy a son, Gwern, but even the joy of motherhood could not shield her from the growing tension. The people of Ireland, unable to forget the insult to their king, began to turn against Branwen. They blamed her for the dishonor brought upon their land, and Mathonwy, once kind and loving, began to treat her with cruelty. Branwen's life became one of suffering. She was stripped of her royal status, forced to work in the kitchens, beaten and humiliated by those who once bowed before her. Yet, through all the pain, Branwen's spirit remained unbroken. She endured the abuse in silence, but her heart cried out for justice, for a way to end the nightmare that had become her life. Desperate to reach her homeland, Branwen trained a starling to carry a message to her brother, Mabinogion, the King of Wales. The little bird, with Branwen's tears upon its wings, flew across the sea, carrying a plea for help. When Mabinogion received the message, his heart broke for his sister, and he vowed to bring her home, no matter the cost. The great King of Wales gathered his forces, and with an army that stretched as far as the eye could see, he set sail for Ireland. But the path to rescuing Branwen was stained with blood. When Mathonwy saw the Welsh fleet approaching, he knew that war was inevitable. The conflict between Wales and Ireland erupted into a fierce and devastating battle, one that would leave both lands scarred for generations. In the midst of the chaos, Branwen was reunited with her brother, but the joy was short-lived. The battle raged on, and the cost of war became painfully clear. The bloodshed was immense, with countless lives lost on both sides. Even the mighty Mabinogion, who was nearly invincible, was brought down by a poisoned spear. As he lay dying, he ordered his men to cut off his head and take it back to Wales, so that it might be buried in the White Hill of London, where it would protect the land from invasion. But for Branwen, the victory felt hollow. She had lost her brother, her husband, her son, and her home. The weight of all that had happened crushed her spirit. Upon returning to Wales, she stood on the shores where her journey had begun, her heart heavy with grief. The land that once felt so familiar now seemed foreign, a place that no longer held the warmth and comfort she had known as a child. Overcome by sorrow, Branwen's heart could bear no more. She died of a broken heart, her life ending as tragically as the tale itself. The waves that once whispered softly now roared in mourning for the princess who had hoped for peace but found only pain. Branwen's story is a tale of love and loss, of hope and heartbreak. It is a reminder of the fragility of peace and the devastating consequences of betrayal and war. Her life, marked by suffering and sacrifice, speaks to the enduring strength of the human spirit, even in the face of unimaginable tragedy. After the ravages of war, where the cries of the fallen still echoed in the silence, Manawydan, the son of Llyr, found himself adrift in a world that had changed forever. He had seen the horrors of battle, lost friends and family, and now, with the weight of these memories heavy on his heart, he sought peace in the quiet corners of life. But peace, like a fleeting shadow, was hard to grasp. Manawydan's journey led him to Rhiannon, a woman of grace and strength, who had endured her own share of suffering. She was once a queen, wrongfully accused and punished, but her spirit remained unbroken. Their union brought a glimmer of hope to Manawydan's weary soul, and together they sought to build a new life, away from the shadows of the past. They settled in the land of Dyfed, a place where the earth was rich and the skies were wide. Here, Manawydan and Rhiannon tried to carve out a life of simplicity, far from the intrigues of kings and the echoes of war. But the land they hoped to nurture soon turned against them. One morning, they awoke to find that the land had fallen under a strange curse. The bustling fields were empty, the livestock had vanished, and the towns were deserted. An eerie silence hung in the air, where once there had been the sounds of life and laughter. It was as if the very soul of the land had been stolen, leaving behind only emptiness and despair. The curse weighed heavily on Manawydan. He could see the sorrow in Rhiannon's eyes, the dreams they had shared slipping away like sand through fingers. But he refused to be defeated. Together, they left their land and traveled to England, hoping to make a living through the skills they possessed. Manawydan was a craftsman, a man of great talent, and wherever they went, his work brought admiration and envy. But jealousy breeds trouble, and no matter where they settled, they were forced to leave as their success drew the ire of others. After a time, they returned to their cursed land, resigned to live in the quiet desolation that had become their home. But the curse had not finished its cruel work. One day, while walking in the fields, Rhiannon and Peredur, her son, stumbled upon a mysterious golden bowl. As they reached out to touch it, the bowl clung to their hands, trapping them in a spell of enchantment. They disappeared before Manawydan's eyes, leaving him alone once more, his heart heavy with loss. But Manawydan was not a man who gave up easily. He knew that wisdom and patience were his greatest allies. He waited, enduring the loneliness, the aching silence of a land that no longer sang. His love for Rhiannon and Peredur kept him strong, kept him searching for a way to break the curse and bring them back. Time passed, and one day, while working in the fields, Manawydan noticed something unusual, a mouse nibbling at the crops. He set a trap and caught the tiny creature, but when he looked closer, he saw that this was no ordinary mouse. There was something strange, something magical about it. He decided to keep the mouse, sensing that it held the key to breaking the curse. The next day, as Manawydan was preparing to punish the mouse, a stranger appeared, a man of noble bearing, who begged for the mouse's life, offering anything in return. Manawydan, wise and discerning, realized that this man was connected to the enchantment that had befallen his land. He demanded the return of Rhiannon and Peredur, and the restoration of his land to its former state. The stranger, who was indeed the enchanter responsible for the curse, had no choice but to agree. With a word, the spell was lifted. Rhiannon and Peredur were returned, and the land of Dyfed blossomed once more. The fields were filled with life, the towns with people, and the air with the sound of laughter. Manawydan's wisdom had saved them all, but it was not just his cleverness that brought about the resolution. It was his patience, his refusal to give in to despair, and his deep love for those he cared about. He had faced the curse not with anger or violence, but with a quiet strength that had ultimately triumphed over the darkness. Manawydan and Rhiannon lived the rest of their days in peace, their love and resilience a beacon of hope in a world that had seen so much sorrow. The story of Manawydan is one of quiet heroism, of a man who found strength not in battle, but in wisdom, patience, and the enduring power of love. His tale reminds us that even in the face of loss and hardship, there is always a way forward, a way to heal, and a way to find joy once more. In the ancient land of Gwynedd, where mountains kissed the sky and forests whispered secrets, ruled Math, son of Mathonwy. His reign was one of magic, where the lines between the seen and unseen blurred, and the world was alive with wonder and mystery. Math was no ordinary king. His connection to the magical forces of the earth ran deep, a bond that gave him power but also bound him to the land in ways that would lead to both glory and tragedy. Math could only live if his feet rested in the lap of a maiden unless he was at war. This strange condition, both a blessing and a curse, wove a delicate thread through his life, keeping him tied to the ways of the earth and the magic that flowed through it. His court was filled with enchantments and sorcery, a place where even the ordinary seemed touched by the extraordinary. Among those at Math's court was Gwydion, a man of great skill and cunning, whose mastery of magic was rivaled only by his ambition. Gwydion was not content with the life of service. He hungered for power, a thirst that would lead him down paths filled with both brilliance and darkness. His story is one of creation and destruction, of a life that intertwined with the very fabric of Gwynedd's magic. It began with a deception. Gwydion, using his powers of illusion, tricked Peredur, the king of Dyfed, into giving him a herd of magical pigs, creatures of such beauty and power that they were coveted by all. This act of treachery set the stage for a conflict that would shake the foundations of the land. Peredur, realizing he had been deceived, declared war on Gwydion, and the two forces prepared for a battle that would be fought not just with swords, but with the very essence of magic itself. But Gwydion's ambitions did not stop with the pigs. He sought to create life, to bring forth a being of such power and purity that it would stand as a testament to his mastery. With Math's help, he created Llyr, a child born not of woman, but of magic. Llyr was destined for greatness, a figure of light and strength, but his life was marked by trials and betrayals that would test even his remarkable abilities. Lly's birth was a marvel, but his life was far from simple. He was cursed by his mother, Arianrod, who denied him three essential gifts: a name, arms, and a wife. Gwydion, determined to see Llyr rise, used his powers to overcome these curses. He tricked Arianrod into naming her son, gave him arms, and with Math, created a wife for him from the flowers of the earth. Blodud, the woman of flowers, was beautiful beyond measure, but like all things born of magic, she carried within her the seeds of tragedy. Lly's life was one of battles, both within and without. His struggle to claim his place in the world was not just a fight for survival, but a fight to define his identity in a world that had tried to deny him everything. He became a warrior of great renown, but his heart longed for something more, something that the magic of his creation could not give him. As Llyr grew in strength and wisdom, the shadow of Gwydion's actions loomed large. The deception of Peredur had not been forgotten, and the time came when the two forces clashed in a battle that would become legend. Gwydion and Peredur faced each other not just as men, but as embodiments of the magical forces that shaped their world. The battle was fierce, with the earth itself trembling under the weight of their struggle. In the end, Gwydion's cunning and mastery of magic prevailed, but the victory came at a great cost. Peredur, a man of honor and strength, fell in battle, leaving behind a legacy of courage that would be remembered for generations. Gwydion had won, but the blood on his hands would stain his soul forever. The magic that had once brought life now brought death, and the cost of Gwydion's ambitions became painfully clear. Lly's life, too, was touched by betrayal. Blodud, the wife created for him, fell in love with another and conspired to kill him. She tricked Llyr into revealing the only way he could be killed, and with her lover, attempted to take his life. But Llyr was not so easily defeated. Though struck down, he transformed into an eagle, his spirit refusing to be broken. Gwydion, filled with both guilt and love for the child he had created, searched for Llyr and eventually brought him back to life. But the resurrection was bittersweet. The world had changed, and the innocence of creation was lost. Blodyd was transformed into an owl, cursed to live in darkness, while Llyr, though restored, was forever marked by the betrayal he had suffered. The reign of Math, son of Mathonwy, was a time of magic and wonder, but also of sorrow and loss. The stories of Gwydion and Llyr, of creation and destruction, of love and betrayal, are woven into the very fabric of Gwynedd. They remind us that magic, though powerful, is not without its price, and that the forces that shape our lives are often beyond our control. In the end, it is the choices we make, and the love we hold, that define us, even in a world where magic rules. In a time when Britain was beset by darkness and despair, two brothers, Llyr and Lleflys, stood as beacons of hope. Llyr, the elder, was the king of Britain, a land once united and strong, now torn apart by 3 terrible plagues. His heart was heavy with the burden of his people's suffering, and he knew that only wisdom and courage could save his kingdom from falling into ruin. Llyr's younger brother, Lleflys, was a king in his own right, ruling over the land of Gaul across the sea. Though separated by distance, the bond between the brothers was unbreakable. Llyr, knowing that he needed help beyond what his own strength could provide, turned to Lleflys, trusting in his brother's wisdom to guide him through the darkness. The first plague that ravaged Britain was the arrival of a mysterious people who brought chaos wherever they went. They were the Coranians, a race whose very presence instilled fear, for they could hear every whisper, every secret spoken in the land. No plan against them could be made, for they knew the thoughts of those who sought to defeat them. The people of Britain lived in terror, unable to defend themselves against these invaders who seemed to know their every move. Llyr's heart ached for his people, but he knew that brute force would not be enough to overcome this threat. He called upon Lleflys, and together they devised a plan. Lleflys, wise beyond his years, instructed Llyr to gather a special insect and crush it into water. This water, once scattered over the land, would silence the ears of the Coranians, rendering them powerless to hear the thoughts of the people. With this, the first plague was lifted, and the people of Britain breathed a sigh of relief, their hearts filled with hope once more. But the respite was short-lived, for soon a second plague descended upon the land. This time, it was a shriek that filled the night, a scream so terrifying that it caused the very earth to tremble. Every May Eve, the people would hear it, and with it came the loss of their crops, their cattle, and their very will to live. The terror was so great that many lost hope, believing that the land itself had turned against them. Llyr, determined to find the source of this horror, searched the land, but it seemed as though the scream came from nowhere and everywhere all at once. Once again, he sought the counsel of Lleflys, who revealed that the scream was the cry of 2 dragons locked in an eternal battle beneath the earth. One was the dragon of Britain, and the other a foreign dragon, seeking to claim the land as its own. With Lleflys' guidance, Llyr set out to capture the dragons. He dug a great pit and filled it with mead, a drink so intoxicating that it would cause even the fiercest creature to succumb to sleep. When the dragons drank the mead, they fell into a deep slumber, and Llyr buried them beneath the earth in the strongest fortress in Britain. The scream ceased, and with it, the second plague was lifted, restoring peace to the land once more. But peace was not yet fully restored, for the third and most insidious plague had yet to be revealed. In the dead of night, every storehouse in Britain was being emptied, leaving the people hungry and desperate. No matter how much they stored, by morning, everything was gone, as if some unseen force was stealing their very livelihood. Llyr, feeling the weight of his people's despair, knew that this final plague could be the one to break them. Desperation drove him to seek Lleflys' wisdom once more. Lleflys, always the calm voice of reason, advised Llyr to take on the task himself, to stay awake through the night and watch over the storehouses. Llyr, determined to end this curse, followed his brother's advice. Armed with his courage, he stayed up through the night, hiding in the shadows, watching over the storehouses with unwavering resolve. It was during these long, quiet hours that Llyr discovered the truth. The culprit was not some monster or spirit, but a powerful magician, invisible to the naked eye, who used his magic to put everyone to sleep before plundering the stores. The magician, thinking himself safe, began his nightly theft, unaware that Llyr was watching. Llyr, with a heart full of righteous anger and a mind sharpened by his brother's counsel, confronted the magician. A fierce struggle ensued, but Lly's strength, fueled by the love for his people, was greater than any magic. He overpowered the magician, breaking the spell that had plagued his land for so long. The storehouses remained full, and with this final victory, the third plague was vanquished. Britain, once fractured by fear and suffering, began to heal under Lly's rule. His wisdom, tempered by the love and guidance of his brother Lleflis, brought about a new era of unity and strength. The land that had once been on the brink of despair was now a place of peace, its people united under the leadership of a king who had proven his worth not through conquest, but through the strength of his heart. Llyr and Lleflis, though kings of different lands, remained bound by the unbreakable bond of brotherhood. Their story is one of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest times, unity and love can overcome the greatest of challenges. And as the land of Britain flourished once more, the names of Llyr and Lleflis were etched into the hearts of its people, a testament to the power of family, wisdom, and courage. In a land where legends walked alongside men, there lived a young warrior named Culhwch. His heart was bound to a destiny he could not escape, one that would lead him to the edge of the world and into the jaws of danger, all for the sake of love. Culhwch was not like other men. He was bound by a prophecy, his life entwined with that of a maiden whose beauty was whispered about in hushed tones, Owein, the daughter of the giant Mabinogion. Owein was more than just a maiden, she was the embodiment of light in a world that could be so dark. Her beauty was said to make the flowers bloom wherever she walked, and her kindness was as boundless as the sky. But her fate was chained to the will of her father, Mabinogion, a giant whose heart was as cold as the mountains he called home. Mabinogion knew that his life would end the day his daughter married, so he guarded her fiercely, setting challenges that no mortal could ever hope to overcome. Culhwch, driven by a love he had never even seen but only felt in the depths of his soul, vowed to win Olwen's hand, no matter the cost. But he knew that to face Mabinogion alone would be certain death. And so, he turned to the greatest hero of all, his kinsman, King Arthur. Arthur, a king of unmatched honor and strength, gathered his most trusted knights, men who had faced the impossible and lived to tell the tale. These were men who would ride into battle with the full knowledge that they might not return, but for honor and for love, they would not hesitate. Arthur and his knights stood by Culhwch, understanding that this quest was more than just a pursuit of love, it was a fight against the darkness that Mabinogion represented. The challenges laid before them were not just trials of strength, but tests of the heart and spirit. The first challenge was to track down the great boar, Twrchtrwyth, whose bristles were as sharp as swords and whose fury was unmatched. It was said that this beast could only be tamed by the purest of hearts. Arthur's knights chased the boar across fields and forests, their resolve unbroken even as the beast led them on a chase that seemed endless. In the end, it was not strength that brought the boar to its knees, but the unwavering courage of the knights, who never once wavered in their belief that they could succeed. But the challenges did not end there. Mabinogion demanded the blood of the Black Witch, a sorceress whose power was feared across the lands. To face her was to face death itself, for her spells were woven with the darkest of magics. Yet, Culhwch and Arthur's knights pressed on, their determination shining like a beacon in the night. When they finally confronted the witch, it was not magic that defeated her, but the purity of their purpose. Her darkness could not withstand the light that burned in their hearts, and with her fall, another barrier to Olwen's hand was broken. One by one, the challenges were met and conquered, each one bringing Culhwch closer to the woman who had captured his heart without ever meeting him. Mabinogion's fury grew with each victory, his grip on life weakening as his daughter's fate slipped further from his control. Yet still, the giant set the final and most impossible task, to retrieve the cauldron of Darnach, a cauldron that no man had ever returned from seeking. The cauldron was guarded by creatures born of nightmares, and its location was in a place where the sun did not shine, and the air was thick with the whispers of the dead. But Arthur and his knights, driven by loyalty and love, ventured into this darkness, refusing to let fear dictate their fate. In the shadows, where all hope seemed lost, it was their bond, their trust in one another, that guided them to victory. They returned with the cauldron, and with it, the final barrier to Culhwch and Olwen's love was torn down. With all the challenges met, Ysbaddaden knew that his time had come. The giant, once a figure of insurmountable strength and cruelty, was now a shadow of his former self. Yet in his defeat, there was a strange peace. He saw in Culhwch not just a suitor for his daughter, but a man of true honor, worthy of the love that Olwen represented. And so, with a final breath, Ysbaddaden released his daughter from the chains of his protection, allowing her to step into the light, where Culhwch waited. When Culhwch and Olwen finally stood together, it was as if the world itself sighed in relief. Their union was not just the culmination of a quest, but a victory of light over darkness, love over fear. The challenges they had faced were more than just tests of strength, they were trials of the heart, proving that love, when true and pure, could overcome even the greatest of evils. In the end, Culhwch and Olwen's love became a beacon for all who heard their tale, a reminder that no matter how dark the path may seem, with courage, honor, and love, even the most impossible quests can be won. In the heart of Rome, where power and ambition coursed through every stone, there lived an emperor named Maxen Wledig. He was a man of great strength, a ruler whose name was whispered in reverence across the lands. But despite his power, Maxen was restless, as if something vital was missing from his life. It was in this state of unease that a dream came to him, a dream so vivid that it seemed more real than the world he ruled. In this dream, Maxen found himself standing on the edge of a land he had never seen before, a place where the mountains kissed the sky and the rivers ran clear as crystal. The air was different here, filled with a sweetness that made his heart ache. And then he saw her, the woman who would change everything. She was the embodiment of grace and beauty, her presence so powerful that it brought Maxen to his knees. Her eyes, as deep as the ocean, seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. She was the love he had never known he was searching for. When Maxen awoke, the image of the woman lingered in his mind like a melody that wouldn't fade. He could think of nothing else. The empire, with all its demands and duties, became a distant echo as the vision of this woman consumed him. He knew he had to find her, no matter the cost. She was not just a dream, she was his destiny. Driven by a longing that no words could describe, Maxen set out on a journey across the lands he ruled. He searched far and wide, guided only by the memory of the mountains and rivers from his dream. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet his heart never wavered. Each step brought him closer to her, as if the very earth was guiding him to his fate. The journey was not easy. Maxen faced countless obstacles, each one testing his resolve. There were moments when doubt crept into his mind, when the weight of the empire threatened to pull him back. But the memory of her eyes, the way they had pierced through his soul, kept him moving forward. He knew that to find her was to find the missing piece of his heart, the piece that would make him whole. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime, Maxen reached a land that seemed to match the one from his dream. The mountains, the rivers, the air, it was all as he had seen. And then, there she was, standing in the same spot where he had first seen her in his dream. It was as if time had folded in on itself, bringing the dream to life. Her name was Elin, a woman of such grace and wisdom that she seemed more a goddess than a mortal. When their eyes met, it was as if the world itself paused, holding its breath in awe. Maxen knew in that moment that he had found his home, not in the lands he ruled, but in her heart. Elin looked at him with a knowing smile, as if she had been waiting for him all along. Their love story became the stuff of legends, a tale whispered among the people of both Rome and Wales. But it was more than just a romance. Their union marked the intertwining of two great cultures, Roman and Welsh, each bringing its own richness to the other. Through their love, the boundaries between these worlds blurred, creating a new legacy that would endure for generations. Elin, with her wisdom and strength, became Maxen's greatest advisor, her influence shaping the empire in ways no one could have predicted. Together, they built bridges between their peoples, fostering a bond that was stronger than any sword or shield. Under their rule, the lands prospered, united by a love that had crossed the boundaries of dream and reality. Maxen's dream had led him to Elin, but it had also led him to a deeper understanding of what it meant to rule. True power, he realized, did not come from conquest or control, but from the ability to unite, to bring people together in harmony. It was a lesson that would echo through the ages, a testament to the power of love and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Their story, the dream of Maxen Wledig and the love of Elin, became more than just a legend. It became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the light of love can guide us to where we truly belong. And though the years would pass, and new rulers would rise, the memory of that dream, and the love it brought to life, would never fade. Rhonabwy was a man weary of the world. The weight of endless battles and the burdens of life had etched lines on his face, and his heart ached with a restlessness he couldn't quite understand. On a night thick with the silence of the unknown, he found himself seeking solace in the humblest of shelters, a simple house, where he lay down on a worn-out bed. Little did he know, this night would change him forever. As Rhonabwy closed his eyes, the world he knew faded away, replaced by something far more extraordinary. He was no longer in that small, dusty room, but in a vast, mysterious land where time and space twisted like a dream. Everything felt both familiar and foreign, as if he had been here before in another life. The colors were richer, the air thick with magic, and the ground beneath his feet seemed to hum with ancient power. Rhonabwy's heart raced as he realized he was no longer alone. A presence, strong and noble, filled the space around him. He turned, and there, standing before him, was a figure of legend, King Arthur himself. Clad in gleaming armor that seemed to shine with its own light, Arthur was more than just a king. He was the embodiment of every tale of courage, every story of justice and honor that had ever been told. Arthur's eyes, deep and wise, met Rhonabwy's, and in that gaze, Rhonabwy felt as if his soul was laid bare. There was no need for words, everything was understood in that silent exchange. Arthur, the once and future king, had come to show him something beyond the grasp of mortal understanding. Around them, knights of old gathered, Sir Lancelot, Sir Gawain, Sir Bedivere, each one a living legend, their faces as stern and unyielding as the mountains. They stood tall, their swords gleaming, their presence commanding respect and awe. Rhonabwy felt both small and significant in their midst, as if he were part of a story much larger than himself. But this was no ordinary gathering. The air crackled with tension, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Arthur led Rhonabwy to a great battlefield, where armies clashed in a furious storm of steel and blood. Yet, despite the chaos, there was a strange stillness, a sense that this battle was not about victory or defeat, but something far deeper. Rhonabwy watched in awe as Arthur and his knights rode into the fray, their swords flashing like lightning. They fought not just with strength, but with purpose, their every move a dance of destiny. And as Rhonabwy looked closer, he saw that the battle was not just between men, but between ideas, between the forces of darkness and light, of despair and hope. In the midst of the battle, Rhonabwy felt his own heart begin to stir. The weariness that had plagued him melted away, replaced by a fierce determination. He understood now that this was not just a dream, it was a call to arms, a reminder that he, too, had a role to play in the eternal struggle between right and wrong. The legends of Arthur and his knights were not just stories of the past, they were a living, breathing part of the present and of Rhonabwy's own life. As the battle raged on, Rhonabwy's mind began to open to the deeper meaning of what he was witnessing. The dream was more than just a vision of war, it was an allegory, a reflection of the struggles that every man and woman faces within themselves. The knights, with their unwavering loyalty and courage, represented the best of humanity, the part of us that strives for honor, for justice, for something greater than ourselves. The forces they fought against were the fears, the doubts, the darkness that can so easily take hold if we let it. Rhonabwy's heart swelled with understanding as he realized that this dream was a gift, a lesson wrapped in the fabric of time. It was a reminder that no matter how dark the world might seem, there is always light to be found, always a way forward if we have the courage to fight for it. The battle he had witnessed was not just Arthur's, it was his own, and the battles of every soul that walked the earth. The dream began to fade, the colors and sounds melting into one another as the world of legend slipped away. But Rhonabwy knew that he would never forget what he had seen. He awoke with a start, back in the small, humble room where his journey had begun. The bed was the same, the walls just as plain, but Rhonabwy himself was forever changed. He sat up, the memory of Arthur's gaze still burning in his mind. The weariness that had once weighed him down was gone, replaced by a new sense of purpose. The dream had shown him the truth of his own heart, the strength that lay within him waiting to be awakened. Rhonabwy knew that he would carry the lessons of that night with him for the rest of his life, that he would face the battles ahead with the courage of a knight of old. And so, with a heart full of newfound resolve, Rhonabwy rose to face the day. The world outside might have seemed the same, but he knew that he had glimpsed something eternal, something that would guide him through whatever lay ahead. The dream of Rhonabwy was more than just a journey through time and space, it was a journey into the depths of the soul, where the true battles are fought and won. In the heart of the Arthurian legend, where bravery and honor intertwine, lived Owein, one of King Arthur's most valiant knights. Known for his fierce loyalty and noble spirit, Owain's name was spoken with respect among the bravest of warriors. Yet, even the strongest of hearts can be tested by love and fate. One fateful day, as Owein roamed the woods in search of adventure, he stumbled upon a wondrous sight, a fountain of crystal-clear water, hidden away in a serene glade. But this was no ordinary fountain. It was surrounded by lush, vibrant flowers and guarded by an air of magic that seemed to whisper secrets of ages past. As he approached, a soft, enchanting voice called out to him. It was the Lady of the Fountain, a figure of beauty and grace, her presence radiating both warmth and mystery. The Lady of the Fountain, with eyes as deep as twilight and a smile that could soothe even the most troubled heart, revealed to Owein that she had been watching him. Her voice, gentle yet filled with an ethereal strength, spoke of a dire curse that had befallen her land. She explained that the magic of the fountain was not just a source of life, but also a symbol of the land's well-being. Its waters could heal and nurture, but they had been tainted by a shadowy force, causing the land to wither and darken. Moved by her plight and driven by his sense of duty, Owein vowed to help the lady. His heart ached at the thought of such beauty and grace suffering, and he knew he could not turn away. The quest ahead would test not just his physical strength, but the very core of his honor and love. The Lady of the Fountain, with a glimmer of hope in her eyes, set before Owein a series of trials. Each challenge was designed not only to test his skill as a knight, but also to reveal the true nature of his heart. The trials were grueling and perilous, each more daunting than the last. Owein faced fierce beasts and cunning adversaries, but it was the inner struggles, the doubts and fears, that were the hardest to overcome. In one trial, Owein had to confront a fearsome dragon that guarded the path to a sacred grove. His sword clashed against the dragon's scales, each strike a battle between hope and despair. In the heat of the fight, Owein remembered the lady's gentle words and the sight of her serene face. Her image gave him strength, and with a final, decisive blow, he vanquished the beast. Another challenge took him to a dark and twisted forest where he had to navigate through illusions and deceit. The forest seemed to come alive with every step, trying to lead him astray. Owain's resolve was tested as he faced apparitions of his deepest fears and regrets. Yet, each time he faltered, he remembered the lady's eyes, filled with trust and longing for freedom from her curse. Her image guided him through the darkness. Throughout these trials, Owain's heart grew heavy with both the burden of his mission and the weight of his growing feelings for the lady. He found himself torn between his duty as a knight and his growing love for her. The trials of love and honor were intertwined, each challenge revealing more of his true self. When Owein finally completed the last trial, he returned to the Lady of the Fountain, battered and weary, but with a heart full of resolve. He approached her with both humility and pride, knowing that his journey had transformed him. The lady, with tears of gratitude in her eyes, welcomed him with open arms. The curse that had darkened her land began to lift, and the fountain's waters sparkled with renewed vitality. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Owein felt a profound connection. The lady's presence was no longer just a symbol of grace, but the embodiment of everything he had fought for. Their bond, forged in the crucible of trials and triumphs, was one of deep love and mutual respect. Owein's tale is one of more than just chivalry and courage. It is a story of the heart's journey through trials of love and honor. His dedication to the Lady of the Fountain and his unwavering spirit in the face of adversity became a testament to the true essence of knighthood. Owein's quest was not merely a search for glory, but a journey to discover the deepest truths of the soul. Peredur, a young man of humble beginnings, stood on the brink of greatness. The story of his life begins in a world filled with chivalry and adventure, where every knight's heart is tested by fire and sword. His journey to knighthood would be anything but ordinary. It would be a path marked by trials, battles, and profound personal growth. Raised in the quiet solitude of his family's estate, Peredur's life was simple, yet his spirit yearned for something more. He was not born into the trappings of nobility, but his heart was as noble as any king's. His father, Ifrog, had instilled in him a sense of honor and courage, but it was only when Peredur set out from his home that he truly began to understand the depth of these virtues. His adventure began when he heard tales of knights who performed great deeds and fought against formidable foes. Driven by a burning desire to become one of them, Peredur set out into the unknown. He left behind the comfort of his home, stepping into a world that was as dangerous as it was thrilling. Peredur's first challenge came quickly. He found himself face to face with a fearsome giant that terrorized the land. The giant's roar shook the trees, and its shadow loomed large over the villages. Peredur, though inexperienced, felt a surge of bravery. With nothing but a sword and his unwavering resolve, he confronted the giant. The battle was fierce and relentless. Peredur's sword clanged against the giant's armor, each strike echoing with the hope of victory. When he finally defeated the beast, it was not just a triumph of strength, but a significant step toward his destiny as a knight. His journey continued through dense forests and rugged mountains, each new day bringing fresh challenges. Peredur faced bandits who preyed on travelers and monstrous creatures that lurked in the shadows. Each enemy he vanquished taught him something new about courage, strategy, and the value of mercy. One of the most testing moments came when Peredur encountered a dragon guarding a sacred artifact. The dragon's fiery breath and impenetrable scales made the battle seem insurmountable. Peredur's courage was pushed to its limits, but he found strength in the belief that he was fighting not just for himself, but for the greater good. After a grueling struggle, he outwitted the dragon and secured the artifact, a symbol of his growing prowess and understanding. As he continued his quest, Peredur met many wise mentors and formidable adversaries. Each encounter was a lesson, not just in combat, but in understanding the complexities of honor and leadership. He learned that being a knight was not only about physical strength, but also about wisdom, compassion, and the ability to inspire others. His personal growth was not just a result of battles won, but of the inner struggles he faced. He wrestled with doubts and fears, questioned his own worthiness, and sought answers to the deeper meaning of his quest. His journey was as much about finding himself as it was about proving himself. In one of his most profound moments of growth, Peredur saved a village from a sorcerer's curse. The villagers had been plagued by misfortune, their lives overshadowed by fear. Peredur, with the wisdom he had gained, faced the sorcerer not with brute force, but with understanding. He used his knowledge and compassion to break the curse, earning the gratitude of the villagers and a newfound clarity about his own purpose. Throughout his adventures, Peredur's heart remained steadfast, even when the path ahead seemed shrouded in darkness. His trials were not merely tests of strength, but of character, shaping him into the knight he had always aspired to be. He learned that true knighthood was about more than just heroic deeds. It was about the courage to face one's fears, the wisdom to lead with integrity, and the compassion to help those in need. By the end of his journey, Peredur had transformed from a young man with dreams of greatness into a knight whose name was spoken with respect and admiration. His adventures had forged his character, honed his skills, and deepened his understanding of what it meant to be a true knight. His story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the profound impact of personal growth. In the hallowed halls of King Arthur's court, where legends are born and heroes are made, the story of Gereint, son of Arawn, unfolds, a tale of love and loyalty tested by trials and adversity. Gereint, a knight renowned for his valor, found his greatest challenge not on the battlefield, but in the realm of the heart. Gereint's love for Enid, a woman of remarkable beauty and grace, was as profound as it was pure. Their marriage was celebrated with much joy and admiration, seen as a perfect union of strength and virtue. But as with all great stories, their love would soon be tested in ways they could never have anticipated. In the early days of their marriage, Gereint and Enid's happiness seemed unshakable. Their bond was a source of inspiration, a reminder of what true love could be. However, as time passed, their relationship faced unforeseen challenges. Gereint's commitment to his duties as a knight began to pull him away from home, and Enid, though patient and loving, could not help but feel the strain of his absences. The troubles began to show when Enid, feeling isolated and burdened by her loneliness, was subjected to harsh whispers from others. Some doubted her loyalty, suggesting that her husband's long absences were a sign of their fading love. Enid, though deeply hurt by these insinuations, chose to remain steadfast. Yet, the seeds of doubt began to creep into Gereint's heart, clouding his judgment and testing his faith in his beloved wife. One day, driven by a desire to prove his loyalty and regain his honor, Gereint set out on a quest, determined to restore his reputation. He left Enid behind, his heart heavy with the weight of both his love for her and the burdens of his duties. His journey took him through treacherous landscapes and fierce battles, each one a test of his strength and resolve. As Gereint fought bravely against formidable foes, he began to realize the true nature of his quest. It was not just about proving his valor, but also about understanding the true meaning of trust and loyalty. Each challenge he faced was a reflection of the inner turmoil he felt, a struggle between his duties as a knight and his commitment to his wife. During his travels, Gereint encountered a wise sage who spoke of the nature of love and the importance of trust. The sage's words struck a chord within him, awakening a deeper understanding of the sacrifices required in any relationship. Gereint began to see the path to redemption not in the glory of battle but in the quiet strength of his commitment to Enid. When Gereint finally returned home, he found Enid still waiting for him, her love unwavering despite the trials she had endured. Her patience and devotion had not faltered, and her presence was a reminder of the true meaning of loyalty. The reunion was emotional, filled with both joy and sorrow for the time lost and the struggles endured. Gereint's return marked a turning point in their relationship. He realized that the greatest battle he had fought was not with swords and enemies, but with his own doubts and insecurities. His journey had taught him that love required more than grand gestures and heroic deeds. It required the everyday acts of trust and understanding. In the days that followed, Gereint and Enid worked to rebuild their relationship, each day a testament to their renewed commitment. Their love, once tested by adversity, grew stronger and more profound. They learned to navigate their challenges together, finding strength in their unity and healing through their shared experiences. Gereint's story is a poignant reminder of the complexities of love and the trials that test its strength. His journey from doubt to understanding, from separation to reconciliation, reflects the true nature of loyalty and the power of a love that endures through hardship. In the end, it is not just the victories on the battlefield that define a knight, but the triumphs of the heart that truly reveal the depth of one's honor and devotion. In the ancient tales of the Mabinogion, magic is not merely an element of fantasy, it breathes life into every story, shaping destinies and weaving threads of wonder into the fabric of the world. These tales are steeped in enchantment, where the mystical and the mundane intertwine, creating a tapestry of awe and mystery. Imagine a world where the unseen forces of magic pulse beneath the surface of reality. In the Mabinogion, this world is alive with the power of druids, sorcery, and supernatural beings. Magic isn't just an occasional spark, it's a constant presence, guiding, influencing, and sometimes wreaking havoc on the lives of its characters. Take, for instance, the tale of Pwyll, the Prince of Dyfed, whose life is forever altered by his encounter with Arawn, the Lord of Anne. In a single moment, Pwyll's world shifts as he is drawn into a realm where magic reigns supreme. The magic here is not just for show, it is a transformative force. Pwyll's bravery and cunning, coupled with Arawn's sorcery, lead to a deeper understanding of power and honor. The magic in this story forges bonds and tests loyalties, setting Pwyll on a path that will forever shape his fate. Druids, with their ancient wisdom and mystical powers, are the keepers of knowledge and magic in these tales. Their role is not just ceremonial, they wield real power that influences the lives of kings and commoners alike. The Druids of the Mabinogion are more than mere figures of legend, they are the conduits through which the ancient magic flows. Their incantations and rituals shape the natural world, control the elements, and even alter the course of events. In the tale of Branwen, daughter of Llyr, magic weaves a tragic spell over the land. Branwen's marriage to Mathonwy, the King of Ireland, is intended as a bond of peace. Yet, it is magic, and the betrayal that follows, that brings about a devastating conflict between Wales and Ireland. The enchantments cast by characters and the curses they invoke have far-reaching consequences, leading to battles and heartache that span the length of the tale. Magic here is both a gift and a curse, shaping destinies in ways that are both wondrous and tragic. The influence of supernatural beings is another powerful aspect of the Mabinogion. From the majestic and mysterious Lady of the Fountain to the enigmatic creatures that dwell in enchanted forests, these beings play crucial roles in the characters' lives. They are not just obstacles or aids, they are embodiments of the magic that saturates the world. Their actions, driven by their own mystical purposes, often set the stage for the hero's trials and triumphs. The magic they embody and wield helps to reveal hidden truths and guide the heroes towards their ultimate goals. In the tale of Owein, the knight who encounters the Lady of the Fountain, magic takes on a form that challenges his honor and courage. The lady herself is a figure of profound mystery, her realm a place where magic tests the worthiness of those who seek her aid. Owain's trials are not just physical but also deeply personal, pushing him to confront his own values and strength. The magic here acts as a mirror, reflecting the true nature of the hero and revealing the depth of his character. Similarly, the story of Gereint and Enid shows how magic shapes not just the external events but the internal struggles of the characters. Gereint's quest is as much about overcoming the magical trials he faces as it is about understanding and rekindling his love for Enid. The magic in their story serves to test their commitment and resilience, highlighting the enduring power of love and trust amidst enchantment. Magic in the Mabinogion is not a mere backdrop, it is a living, breathing force that impacts every aspect of the characters' lives. It challenges them, transforms them, and shapes their destinies. Whether through the mysterious actions of druids, the potent spells cast by sorcerers, or the intervention of supernatural beings, magic is an integral part of these ancient tales. It provides both the trials and the triumphs, the heartaches and the joys, creating a world where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural blur, and where every spell and incantation has the power to alter the course of life itself. In these stories, magic is not just a wonder to behold but a powerful force that drives the characters forward, testing their mettle and revealing their true selves. It is the essence of the Mabinogion, breathing life into the legends and making each tale a testament to the enduring power of enchantment. In the heart of the Mabinogion, King Arthur and his knights emerge like a shimmering thread weaving through the rich tapestry of Welsh mythology. Their presence in these tales is not just a fleeting touch, it is a profound infusion that connects the legends of Wales with the grander European myths. As you turn the pages of these ancient stories, the influence of Arthurian legend becomes unmistakable, blending seamlessly with the old Welsh tales, creating a powerful and evocative narrative. King Arthur, the iconic figure of legend, does not simply make a guest appearance in these stories. His influence is woven into the fabric of the tales, altering their course and adding layers of depth and intrigue. Arthur and his knights bring with them an air of chivalry, honor, and valor, transforming the world of the Mabinogion. Their presence elevates the tales, infusing them with the grandeur and nobility that Arthurian legend is known for. Consider the tale of Culhwch and Olwen, where King Arthur's court plays a central role. Here, Arthur is not just a distant legend, but an active participant, guiding and assisting Culhwch in his quest. The story transforms as Arthur's knights, each renowned for their bravery and skill, step into the narrative. Their involvement is more than ceremonial, it is essential to the unfolding of the tale, illustrating how deeply Arthurian legend has seeped into the Welsh stories. Arthur's court becomes a vibrant hub of action and adventure, where the legendary knights contribute to the quests and challenges that shape the hero's journey. The blending of Welsh and broader European legends is a marvel of storytelling. The Mabinogion takes the familiar elements of Arthurian legend, such as the Round Table and the chivalric code, and intertwines them with Welsh traditions and myths. This merging creates a unique narrative style that respects the roots of both cultures while crafting something entirely new and profound. The stories are richer for this blend, offering readers a glimpse into a world where different mythologies converge and coexist, creating a vibrant mosaic of legend and lore. The significance of Arthurian elements in Welsh mythology cannot be overstated. Arthur's presence is not merely a matter of historical interest, but a vital part of the cultural and mythological landscape. His character embodies the ideals of heroism and justice that resonate deeply with the themes of the Mabinogion. Through Arthur and his knights, the tales of Wales gain an additional layer of meaning, reflecting the values and aspirations of a broader medieval European audience while maintaining their unique Welsh character. Arthurian influence in the Mabinogion also highlights the interconnectedness of different mythologies. The stories demonstrate how legends from various cultures can merge and evolve, creating a rich tapestry of shared themes and motifs. The Arthurian elements add a sense of grandeur and unity to the Welsh tales, bridging the gap between local legends and the broader European narrative. This blending of traditions underscores the universal appeal of these stories and their ability to transcend cultural boundaries. As you journey through these tales, the presence of King Arthur and his knights offers a sense of continuity and connection. Their stories, intertwined with the Welsh legends, create a vivid and compelling world where the heroic and the mythical come together in powerful ways. The Arthurian influence enriches the Mabinogion, adding depth and resonance to the tales, and making them a testament to the enduring power of legend and the magic of storytelling. In the heart of Wales, where mist wraps around ancient hills and legends whisper through the trees, the Mabinogion stands as a beacon of cultural pride and identity. This collection of tales, rich with magic, heroism, and profound wisdom, has left an indelible mark on Welsh culture, shaping how the people of Wales view themselves and their heritage. The echoes of these stories resonate through the very soul of the nation, becoming more than just ancient myths. They are a cornerstone of Welsh identity. The impact of the Mabinogion on Welsh culture is both deep and enduring. For centuries, these tales have been a source of pride and inspiration, reflecting the values, struggles, and aspirations of the Welsh people. Each story carries a piece of Welsh history and tradition, preserving a way of life and a set of beliefs that might otherwise have been lost to time. The characters, from brave heroes to enigmatic enchantresses, embody the qualities that the Welsh hold dear: honor, loyalty, and a deep connection to the land. As generations have passed, these stories have been passed down through families and communities, becoming a living part of Welsh heritage. In the realm of modern literature and art, the Mabinogion has cast a long shadow. Writers, poets, and artists have drawn inspiration from these ancient tales, weaving their themes and motifs into contemporary works. The story's magical landscapes, complex characters, and timeless conflicts offer a rich tapestry for creative minds. From fantasy novels to graphic novels, the influence of the Mabinogion is evident in countless modern creations. The epic battles, enchanting spells, and heroic quests have been reimagined in new forms, demonstrating the timeless appeal of these stories and their ability to inspire and captivate audiences across different mediums. Even as time marches on, the Mabinogion remains relevant in contemporary times. The themes and lessons embedded in these tales speak to universal experiences: love, loss, bravery, and the search for meaning. In a world that often seems fragmented and fast-paced, these stories offer a sense of continuity and connection to something greater than ourselves. They remind us of the power of myth and storytelling to address the deepest aspects of the human condition. Through adaptations and reinterpretations, the Mabinogion continues to resonate with people today, offering new insights and reflections on age-old questions. As you immerse yourself in the world of the Mabinogion, you feel the heartbeat of a culture that has cherished these tales for generations. Their legacy endures, not just in the pages of ancient manuscripts, but in the hearts and minds of people who find meaning and magic in these timeless stories. The Mabinogion is more than a historical artifact. It is a living, breathing testament to the enduring power of myth and the ways in which stories can shape and reflect the essence of a people.